You know, I find myself in the difficult position of having to tell you guys something that I've never said to any of the men I've dated, and that is, I was wrong. Hi y'all, SnarkyJay cosplay here. As of today, the review embargo on The Flash has officially lifted, so I'm here to give you guys my review. I want to kick off the non-spoiler part of my review with my rating, and that is a 7 out of 10, which is far higher than I ever- No, I'm sitting down now. Oh, wow, it's Chronically Online, Jay. How's it going? I'm sorry, I thought you made a bunch of different videos about how this movie was gonna be a huge flop. Yeah, I did make a few different, yeah, I remember the one about the leak. Yeah, and I remember the trailer breakdowns where I said this movie was gonna be a disaster. Yeah, I remember doing that. Yeah, okay, so what? You got invited to a free screening? You got invited to a big premiere? You got to meet people? Oh, SnarkyJay, so cool. And so now you're a DC shill, now you're gonna give them a positive review just because they gave you free sliders? Is that what's happening here? No, actually, I went to the screening with an open and objective mind. I received new information and I changed my opinion. I wasn't gonna double down on the movie being dog shit if I actually enjoyed it. No, we don't live in a world where people see things and are able to develop different opinions on what? New information? You mean that you could change your mind and admit that you were wrong? Are you okay? So what? Okay, so you think everything Ezra Miller did was okay. You're just gonna go put money in his pocket because you just have no morals. I still think Ezra Miller's a huge scumbag, because he is, but I didn't pay for a ticket to this movie. I got invited to a screening. I don't really like your hair today, so. All right, yeah, whatever. I don't need this. I'm going. All right. Well, that was Chronically Online Jay, which we love to see her. So yes, I did go watch The Flash. It was an early screening about a week and a half ago, and yeah, I have to give it a rating of 7 out of 10. It was actually a really, really solid movie. Story-wise, I can tell you this. It's obviously not a true adaptation of Flashpoint, but the bits and pieces that it takes from Flashpoint, it actually handled really, really well. It actually was paced and told really successfully. For me, this movie sort of starts to fall apart through the third act. That third act was sort of reminiscent of the third act of the first Wonder Woman movie, where the first 2/3 of the movie are really solid and enjoyable, and then in the third act you're kind of like, why? That's sort of what this one felt like, but they did sort of tie it up together at the end fairly well. I will say this, even though I was really entertained for most of the movie, and I actually genuinely enjoyed it, the CGI in this film is consistently garbage. Some of the effects in this film are clearly sort of weird on purpose, but any of the scenes where there are two Barrys in the same screen, and that's basically like 98% of the movie, there's always one Barry that's gonna look a little Uncanny Valley nightmare fuel, or sort of like he's PS2 graphics in a modern setting. It's just not right. It's never 100% there, and when you're watching a movie that's supposed to be this CGI heavy, it starts to take its toll on the way that you receive the movie. There's also some spots towards the end that you can tell are obviously those reshoots that got done last year, and they're clearly done either on green screen or in some sort of volume. They definitely were not filmed on location, so they actually clash a little bit with the rest of the film. In terms of the characters, as much as I hate to admit it, Ezra Miller actually does a really great job of handling both Barrys. He does a really great job here, and there are moments where he actually starts to feel sympathetic, at which point I had to sort of snap the rubber band on my wrist and remind myself that this guy is a grooming lunatic. Of course, Michael Keaton's Batman is a highlight. They actually did not use him for nostalgia bait as I anticipated. Keaton's return as Batman is actually brilliant, and I really, really love the fight scenes, including Batman, in this film. They have sort of an old-fashioned animated Batman sort of feel. You really feel like you're watching something that you might have watched as a kid kid and really enjoyed it. It feels very, very true to Batman as in the icon, and I really, really appreciated that. Sasha Calle does a great job as Supergirl, but I think the CGI and the script were not on her side in this case. I honestly feel the character was underutilized. I was definitely hoping to see more of her, especially considering that Sasha has been on the forefront of the publicity campaign for this movie, but that's probably because they won't let Ezra Miller out of whatever cage they've put him in. There's also, of course, an appearance from Ben Affleck as Batman. It's very short, is over very quickly, but nonetheless, the new suit in this film is pretty neat, and I really like seeing Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne, so it was nice to see him take on the role again. Now, one thing I do have to tell you is that there is a lot of humor in this film, and for that reason, I'm sure it'll disappoint really true Flash fans, people that are really, really into Flashpoint, and because they're clearly trying to appeal to a Marvel-like audience with this, there's a lot of humor in this film that might make you start to think that the Flash is now competing against DC's resident comedian Shazam. However, the important difference between this movie and Shazam is that it's actually funny. And I can tell you that there was actually no joke that off the top of my head I can remember rolling my eyes at or cringing over. There was really nothing that didn't hit. I hate to admit it because I've spent a lot of time shitting on this movie on this channel, but I have to be honest, I really enjoyed it. I'm big enough to admit when I'm wrong, and I've been talking shit about this movie for a minute, but honestly, I really enjoyed it. My rating is a fair 7 out of 10, and what really brought it down to a 7 out of 10 instead of like an 8 out of 10 is the wonky CGI and some moments that I thought were just cheap and pandery within the film. At the end of the day, I'm not gonna really praise Ezra Miller, I'm just gonna give credit where credit is due. Everybody else also did an incredible job with this movie. Michael Keaton, Sasha Calle, the director Andy Muschietti did a fantastic job. I would have loved to have come on here and said I told you so I wouldn't have had to come on here and kind of eat crow and say that I was wrong, but I was wrong. I gave The Flash a 7 out of 10 that it earned for being a really solid comic book film. That's all from me. I've been SnarkyJay. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts on The Flash in the comments below.